Hi. Each year, Wacaco give their dealers a product catalogue. This year, we've got the product catalogue for 2025, and it's a good way of kind of checking out what products they've got, what they're going to be selling over the next year, if they've got any kind of new products, if they've updated their products and that type of thing. So I just wanted to kind of share this with you and look at what they've got in this new catalogue for 2025. They start off obviously with the obvious information. Little bit of information there about Wacaco. If you're interested in that, you can maybe pause that and have a look at that if you're not familiar with the Wacaco brand. Obviously that's the founder of Wacaco using the Picopresso there. So a little information again about the founder and the Wacaco brand. If you're interested in that type of thing, you can also pause that. Okay, so their product range, they've actually got quite a few different products now. They're really starting to build up a brand here. They've branched out into the portable electric product range there with the new Pixapresso that they've just released. Then they've got obviously the Picopresso, the Nanopresso, the Minipresso. Then they've got obviously the coffee. They're calling them machines for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why they're calling these machines. I personally wouldn't call them a machine, but that's what they're stating there in the catalogue. Piper mocha and the cuppa mocha. And obviously then they've got gear, what they're regarding as, coffee gear. And that's the Octorama and some other things. Okay, so there you can break this down a little bit further into the portable espresso maker. Now, they've kind of got quite a few of these now. This is how they really started their company with the Minipresso several years ago, and it became really popular, so they've kind of built up their business on the portable, affordable espresso maker. And now they've got, like I say, they've got several, and they do seem to be getting better with the inclusion of the Picopresso a while back, and now the Pixapresso, which is something that I'm kind of pretty excited about. So going further down, there you've got some information about the Pixapresso. That's available for pre-order from Wacaco right now. Now, as I understand, I've been speaking to some customers, and they're saying that they have pre-ordered their Pixapresso, and either Wacaco have got an issue with the product itself, or they've got an issue with fulfilling pre-orders. Maybe they've got some kind of manufacturing backlog or something like that. They're a little bit vague when you ask them about that, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. But according to some customers, they're saying they're still waiting for their pre-orders. From a dealer's point of view, I was told in December last year that this would be available to dealers in the first quarter of 2025. We're looking at right now, it is the 11th of April. I emailed Wacaco a couple of days ago, and they're saying, quote, again, I'm not 100% sure about this because this could change, that it's going to be probably in the next couple of weeks that it's going to be available to dealers. Now, in between now and then, I'm assuming that they're going to do something about fulfilling their pre-orders for their existing customers before they do make the stock available to dealers. So maybe there's something there. Maybe they're really pushing these out. So if anybody knows, if anybody's got a pre-order and they've been waiting for this, maybe they can drop a comment down below and let other people know that they're starting to fulfill those pre-orders. And I think it's only a matter of time, maybe a few weeks before they're going to catch up with that. So you've got some obvious information there. It's self-heating. It's got different settings for different temperatures that help with different roast levels and stuff like that. That's really something that I'm looking forward to. That's going to address some issues with the previous products. It's a rechargeable battery, USB rechargeable battery, so that's pretty good. 20 bars. It's got pre-infusion. It's got timers. It's got different functions. So it's, like I say, it's going to be a really interesting product. Yeah. So it's got what looks like 3 different colours. They've got the dark burgundy colour, the Tuscan red, and the olive green. So it does look like they're going to have different colours for that. Now I'm thinking that the dark burgundy is just the original colour. It's hard to tell whether or not that's like a dark, like a grey colour. And they've actually got 4 different colours. But I think that maybe the original colour is the dark burgundy colour, and they've got another 2 different ones, so 3 colours all in all. And included with this, there's going to be a travel kit for this, where obviously you can get your Pixapresso in there, and they've got a capsule box with 8 different pods that you can put in there. You get an extra head with a lid, a towel, and that's what the case actually looks like. It's embossed and looks quite nice. So it's a nice little package. Okay, Picopresso. I think Wacaco have kind of run out of options for this. They started off with the Picopresso, and then obviously they introduced some accessories for this, like the stand and the sleeves. Now recently Wacaco have updated or upgraded the stand, and they didn't really say anything about this. I was informed from a customer who asked me about this, and I didn't know anything about it. I asked Wacaco about this, and they did update the stand. And basically it's a thumb nut on the back of the stand here where the 2 parts fit together, and it's quite hard to see it in this picture here. Let me just make it bigger so we can look at that a little bit easier. Yeah, it's on the back here, on this part here. They've introduced a thumb nut where these 2 parts originally just kind of slotted in, and the product itself, the weight of the product on the front, kind of pulled that forward a little bit and kept that in place. Now I'm assuming that Wacaco have had some, I don't know, maybe some complaints about that, or they've just thought, okay, we need to introduce a nut that screws into that part there that keeps these 2 parts in place a little bit more firmly. It makes sense. And I do think it's something that it'd take you a couple of seconds extra when you are putting this product together to make it a lot more safe, especially when you're pressing on it and holding it a little bit. It just makes sense. So yeah, they've kind of updated that, and all of the orders for the stand now include this thumb nut. So if anybody's interested in that, that's a nice extra. And you can see there a little bit of information again about the Picopresso. If you're not familiar with this product right now, you can maybe pause that again and have a look at that. And there you've got the accessories for the Picopresso. You've got the gauge, again a solid little product that really helps you to kind of control the pressure, or to at least see what you've got there. It's good for pre-infusion and that type of thing. And your sleeves, they do actually work, because that can get a little bit hot, the Picopresso, especially when you're trying to preheat it and you put boiling water in there. It can actually get a little bit hot to the touch, and these 2 sleeves do actually help with that. In the package for the sleeves, you get the 2. You get obviously the brown colour, and you get a black one, so you're getting 2 of those for this product. The stand, interestingly, they don't have any kind of thumb nut showing in that still image for the stand there, but I think this maybe is an old image that they've got. You've got the 2 baskets, obviously the 18 gram and the single shot, the 12 gram basket. Wacaco did say at one point they were going to release a basket that was going to be like an IMF collaboration, like a precision basket, and they then stopped talking about that. I asked them about that, and they said that they had a little bit of issue with the quality of it, or some kind of issues with the actual basket. So I'm not really sure what that was. They didn't really want to give me any more information about that. I'm thinking that perhaps what happened was that it was maybe a cost issue. Maybe they just thought that the product itself was going to be too expensive moving forward, and perhaps it was causing issues with, adaptability to the product itself. You can get some third-party baskets that do work with the Picopresso. I've got a 51mm stock basket that is just a regular basket, and that fits in my Picopresso. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm saying it does work, because I've tried it a lot of times, and I do actually use that basket. But from Wacaco's point of view, they encourage you not to use third-party products with their products. And it does state in the warranty that you shouldn't do that. So just be careful if you're considering that type of thing. I'm not sure if it's going to void your warranty in any way, but just be aware that they do state that in their warranty. So just be careful. Some of them can work, some of them don't work. Just be careful with that. Okay, Nanopresso. Moving forward, it looks like they've totally gotten rid of the petrol colours that they had for the Nanopresso. Still, I think are my favourite colours. I've still got some stock that I sell. I managed to get a hold of quite a bit of surplus stock, so I still sell them. If you would like those colours, look around, you might still be able to get them. But those Petrol Nanopressos just came with the actual product itself, the Nanopresso. The elements include the hard case in the box, so you're going to pay a little bit extra for that because obviously you're getting the hard case. If you wanted to buy the separate products like the Nanopresso and the hard case, it's going to be round about the same price. So you're not really paying any extra to get the elements than you would if you bought the Nanopresso and the hard case together. It's about the same price. The only difference is obviously the colours. They're not the same colours. I'm not a big fan of the elements colours. Obviously the black, or the dark grey as they call it, is just the original Nanopresso. But the white and the blue colour and the green, they're kind of pastel shades, and I'm not really a big fan of those. The red is a little bit slightly different shade to the original Petrol red colour. But other than that, I don't really like these colours personally. If you like them, that's great. I mean, but that's really all you're going to get moving forward. You're getting the actual Elements colours and not the original Petrol colours. So just be aware of that. A little bit of information if you're interested in that. Some information there again about the bars and the capacity and whatnot. So you can pause that again if you're interested in that. Okay, the Dark Souls. I'm not a big fan of these at all. The hard case is similar to the Elements. They've got some nice colour around the trim. It's a nice kind of finishing for those. But I'm not a big fan of the design on these. Yeah, if you like them, that's fair enough. I don't think they're a big seller, and I'm not really sure why they insist on keep selling these. They also sometimes have the tattoo, which has got a slightly different design. I've never been asked for these products at all. In all the time I've been selling Wacaco products, nobody's ever wanted to order these. I'm not really sure. I think really if they had some kind of way of making your own design, maybe have some kind of design creator on their website where you could order some designs which, you know, have basic kind of templates. I think that would be better. I just don't like these patterns, these designs here. If you could maybe even just have some words putting on there, something really basic where you could do a pre-order or something like that. I think that would be a little bit better than these, to be honest. But again, I don't know, maybe I'm just totally wrong. Maybe these are really popular and a lot of people order them. Maybe that's the reason why they're still holding on to them. If anybody's got one of these or they think they're really nice, and drop a comment down below. Then we've got the Nanopresso and the NS adapter. These two products together, obviously the Nanopresso uses the ground coffee, but with the adapter on the top, you can obviously change that over to using Nespresso compatible pods. I sell quite a few of these. I usually bundle them where I'll have the two products together, but Wacaco have obviously realised that it just makes sense to put these two together and make an actual product out of them. When you order these, you get like a kind of a cardboard dust jacket over the two products together. They're not in the same box. They are still actually the two separate products. I'm not really sure if they're cheaper. They may be a little bit cheaper if you do buy them individually. So it's worth checking that out. But I just think, again, that's a good little package to get there if you really want to have both the pods and the coffee powder. And then you can kind of see here what you get your different adapters for that. The adapter and the barista kit and the DG kit, you've got a lot of kind of control over what you can use the Nanopresso for. I quite like the DG kit myself. I quite like the Dolce Gusto pods, probably a little bit more than I like the Nespresso pods, but that gives you, again, good control over what you can use your Nanopresso for. The barista kit is obviously just it's a double water tank, isn't it, with some extra double capacity coffee baskets in there, but you can fill those up if you wanted to, if you're traveling, and you can kind of fill up the coffee baskets inside and store them in there, and then you can travel with them, so you don't have to take your grinder with you if you're like on a short trip or whatever. If you have to buy all of those things, say for instance you want to make a double espresso because you want to make a cappuccino or a latte, you've got the option of either making 2 shots and then adding your milk with the Nanopresso, or making your double shot with the barista kit where you've got your double water tank there, which makes it a little bit easier. But again, it's adding price to that. So once you start adding all of these things like your adapters and the water tank, it can kind of add up in the end. Minipresso. I quite like the Minipresso. It's something that I used quite a lot when I first started buying Wacaco products, and I still like it. It's still a good, solid product, and it works. I think it's quite decent, and I think a lot of people kind of move on to the Nanopresso because they think it's just a better product. The Minipresso is still a good product. If you're still interested in saving a little bit of money and you just want to make, a single shot of espresso, it's still worth considering the Minipresso. You can get a few adapters and extras for this, like the cases. You can get the equivalent of the barista kit for the Minipresso, like a double water tank, so you can get a double shot out of that. They don't have, obviously, the extras like the NS adapter and the DG kit, but still, if you wanted to just kind of make it a little bit cheaper and still get decent results, it's honestly worth still considering the Minipresso. Then you've got the GR, the Minipresso 2, the GR and the NS, and you can see there it's a different design and it's got slightly different features. You can see it's a little bit lighter, and apparently it's got a double wall structure which makes it a little bit not so hot when you're using it. I never had a problem with the other products being too hot to touch. Picopresso was a little bit like that. That's why they developed the sleeves for that product. But these earlier products like the Minipresso and the Nanopresso, I never really had a problem with them being too hot to touch. But again, apparently they've thought enough people were complaining about that to actually implement that in the design for this product. It's a good product. It's a little bit smaller. I wouldn't say it works any better. I wouldn't say it works any worse. Maybe they've ironed out some of the problems that they might have had with the earlier products, like leaking and whatnot. I never really had anybody complaining about the original, the Minipresso and the Nanopresso, but I do understand that that was a problem for some people. I think that's down to technique more than anything else. If you put too much coffee in there and you're pumping it and it's not meant to be pumped and you're forcing it, you will get leaking. So, adjusting your grind size and using the right amount of coffee powder in there is always going to fix those problems. But it's nice to see that they're kind of redefining their products and making them a little bit nicer. They've got the case there where you've got different accessories. You've got this one with the pods. You've got a case with double pods in there, the pod holder. And you've got obviously the hard case for the actual product. Those are quite nice. And then you've got obviously the NS2, which again, it's not really any different other than it can use pods instead of coffee powder. With that one, you've got obviously the carry case with the different things like the capsule box where it'll allow you to have 8 different pods in there or 8 extra pods. You've got a coaster there because it can get a little bit messy, can't it? And then you've got a towel, a microfiber towel to kind of tidy that up. And you can see there in the actual image, it looks quite nice. It's quite tidy, quite presentable. Then moving on to the Piper Mocha and the Cuppa Mocha. The Piper Mocha is actually my favourite Wacaco product, and I'll kind of explain a little bit later on why it's a decent product if you're interested in having, one product that can make several different things. Piper Mocha, it works slightly different than the others. It's kind of like a vacuum type thing with a tube where you drop in your coffee powder in the coffee basket and it sinks to the bottom of the tube in your hot water, and then you kind of twist the tube upwards and it creates a vacuum. It's kind of like a filter coffee in a way, but using vacuum. And you've got control over your extraction, how much you want it to be extracted. But it's a great product. And the reason that I really like this product is that it's a kind of an all-in-one. You've got a good thermos with a lid on the top that literally keeps your coffee hot for hours. If you don't take the lid off there, that will keep it hot for about 7 or 8 hours. And I've tested that lots of times when I've had this out and about, and it really does work. The other reason, the main reason, is like I said with the Nanopresso, if you want to make cappuccino or like a latte and you need a double shot of espresso, you need the extra to actually use the Nanopresso and make a double shot, or have the barista kit and do it that way. With this one, it gives you the ability to make like an espresso-like shot where you put obviously your finer ground coffee in there and you extract it slowly. And to be honest, there's no difference in the taste to what you would get from a double shot of espresso using a Nanopresso and a barista kit together. Obviously, the only difference you're going to get there is that you're not going to get the crema, which you don't really need, do you? If you're making a latte or a cappuccino, you're just going to add your milk anyway. But that gives you the ability to make a really hot shot of double espresso, and then you add your milk. Obviously, that's going to be hot, and it gives you a much more satisfying shot for your cappuccino, in my opinion. So it's really good for that. Plus, obviously, you get your hot shot of like what they call a tall black, which is like kind of an Americano style coffee. And also, if you want to, you can get like cold brew if you want to do that. And that does actually work as well. Put your ice cubes in there and then leave it for a while and let your coffee drip through that. And it gives you a very refreshing shot of like cold brew style coffee. You can see there, you've got a little bit of information there for it. If you're interested, you can pause that and look at that. Cup of mocha. Same type of thing. You get like a thermos flask with that. On top of that, you've got like a V60 style thing where you put your papers in there, and then you can kind of do like a pour over with that. Again, that works. It keeps the coffee hot for a little bit longer. Maybe not as long as the Piper mocha, but still it's pretty good if you're traveling and you want to do that. You can kind of make that and it'll keep it hot for a few hours for you. So that's a pretty decent product actually. You can see there a little bit more information. The Octorama, again, it's a thermos with a lid on the top that you can open, so you can make a hot drink with that, take that with you again for travelling, and you can drink that. It's quite effective, it's a decent product, it looks quite nice as well. A little bit of information for that. Right, they've just brought out 2 new colours for this product there. You've got the black and you've got the white, the Onyx Black and the Ceramic White. Those 2 colours, the new colours, are only available in the medium size one, the 300 milliliter ones. They're not available in the larger or the smaller versions, the 180 and the 435 milliliters. They're not available in those ones. They're only available in the 300. So just be aware of those if you're interested in that. And after that, you've got the coffee gear. Obviously, you've got the scales, you've got the original Exagrind ones, and they've got the Exagrind Pro. The Exagrind Pro are pretty good. They've got some good features that the original Exagrind doesn't have, like obviously the rechargeable USB battery. That's a really handy thing to have. They've got some great features in there. If you're not sure what they are, you can go and check them out on the Wacaco page, and they've got some information about those. The Exagrind. In my business, I sell Exapresso grinders, so I've never really been interested in this grinder. It was meant to be, I think, a companion piece for the Picopresso, but I was really shocked when they said that this was, depending on who's talking about it, between 30 and 33 microns. Now, I'm going to go with the Wacaco information and say it's 33 microns. For me, the micron size is much too large for espresso. I would have liked to have seen something smaller than that, something like an X Pro or an X Ultra like the Exapresso grinders, and have something like 12.5, maybe even smaller than that. But again, I'm not really sure why they've done that. Apparently it's a decent grinder and people use it, and I haven't really heard many complaints about this, but again, I don't really take much notice of this grinder. However, Wacaco have released the Pro E. It's a newly designed grinder, and they have made the micron size smaller. And for this grinder, it's 14.5 microns. Personally, I think that's a decent micron size, especially for the Picopresso. I think with that micron size, you're going to have a decent grind range for espresso. I would like to have seen it being a little bit smaller than that. I'm not saying they need to make it stepless or anything like that, but it's definitely a major improvement over the 33 microns, getting less than half of that with this grinder. So I do say that this is definitely worth checking out. If you've had any issues with the Picopresso, you can't seem to dial in your grind size, or you want to use your grinder for other non-pressurized espresso machines and you're having issues with your grinder not being able to adjust finely, or it's kind of overstepping the grind size, you're getting too fine or getting too coarse, then I do say that this is definitely a big improvement. So I'm really interested in this grinder. I've asked Wacaco about this and they're a little bit vague on the information about when this is going to be rolled out, but as soon as I hear more information about this, I'm going to make a video talking about this, and as soon as I get this grinder, obviously I'll make a more in-depth video about this, but hopefully this will be a decent grinder. The Stella, the espresso shot glass, looks nice. I've never really been interested in ordering these. The main reason is that I'm a little bit kind of worried about ordering glass and having that shipped out, because I've had bad experiences in the past, getting broken and whatnot, but it looks like a decent glass, and I like the design on the bottom where you don't have to stir it. You don't need to really stir it. You can move the shot around in the glass, and apparently this is designed for that, and it saves you stirring it. These ridges on the bottom of the glass do the same thing. So it looks like a decent glass. I quite like it. It looks nice. The coffee mats, again, decent, but I've got plenty of coffee mats. I can get a little bit cheaper than that. It's a nice design. It looks nice, but I'm not that interested in it, to be honest. The towels, nice towels, good quality, but again, it's one of those things, you can pick up enough towels. I don't think a coffee towel is that important, to be honest. If you're interested in a barista towel, then yeah, they're good quality, they're really nice. There are some others that they've kind of got in the other product catalogue that they don't really talk about in this. This thing here, Exaflow. Now, this is an adapter. It transforms your Octorama mug into a pour-over kettle, thermos bottle and drinking lid. So it's kind of like a 3-in-1 smart design, they're calling this. It's compatible with the Piper Mocha, the Cuppa Mocha and the Octorama. And it looks like, so it screws on there, it's got a kind of an O-ring on that, which obviously holds it on tight. But I'm not sure if for pour over, the only thing that confuses me about this is where's the gooseneck part? It doesn't seem to have any kind of, like a neck. It's got a hole, or what looks like a hole there. And I hope there's an adapter or something that goes on there. I hope it's not just a hole. I'm going to just say it, I don't think that's really going to give you much control over a pour over. It's better than the ring or the rim of a lid of something. It's smaller, so it's going to kind of pour out in a finer arc that maybe will give you some kind of control over your pouring. But I don't think that's going to be ideal. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But it's interesting. I don't have any other information about this. It's just kind of stuck in the bottom of this catalogue. They don't really mention it in the other catalogue. That's why I nearly missed it, because it's really right at the bottom there and you don't really see it unless you go all the way to the bottom there. Again, if I get any more information about this, I'll update a video and kind of talk more about it. But it's interesting. And I do like the fact that they've kind of looked at this type of thing and thought, yeah, we'll invest in that and we'll release it and see. And that's it. Basically, you've got your QR codes to the different mediums for information there. So that kind of concludes my video about the products in 2025. So yeah, hopefully this video was useful to you and you've enjoyed it. And thanks for dropping by, and wherever you are in the world, take care and all the best.